And now, live from the Steele Twins recording studio in beautiful Traverse City, Michigan, and from Casa del Fraytown in Taylor, Michigan, the Steele Twins Gaming presents the Outside Blitz. Here are your hosts, the fabulous Scotty Fraytown and the Cannonball, Alex Steele.
And welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Outside Blitz. I am your host, the fabulous one, Scotty Fraytown, along with my co-host, the Cannonball, Alex Steele. Welcome to the show. Hey,
what's
Alex,
up, people?
We got some stuff going on around the league. The NFL free agency is still alive and well. We're going to be going over some of the leftover free agents today. We got news around the league, though. We have some stuff to cover.
I love leftovers. Gimme.
Yeah, leftovers. We got leftover free agents. We got
guys you never would have thought of seeing before. And you will be very surprised, guys, by some of the names that pop up when we start talking about them. You're going to be like, wait a minute, what team why isn't a team picked up this guy? So stay tuned for that.
Yeah. There's going to be players that we're going to end up talking about. We got some signings that took place over the course of the last week since we were last on. Boot's not joining us today. We were hoping to get his playoff predictor. He gets a little caught up today, but then he'll be back. Hopefully by next week, we'll be discussing his playoff predictor. If not, we will get to that before the season begins. I promise you that. But today, we're going to be jumping into some news around the league, the leftover free agents. We got stuff going on. Let's talk about the big news from today, Alex, man. We got a defensive tackle signing, the highest paid defensive tackle in NFL history, Jeffrey Simmons. He gets signed to a 3-year, $105.8 million extension, $35.2 million per year. Keep cashing them checks, Jeffrey Simmons. I like this signing a lot. He's one of the best in the league, worth every penny. Am I right?
Yeah, it makes total sense to me. Obviously, I always keep saying you need all the help you can get, but I mean, let's just take a look at the dirt sheet here. Over the course, he's been a Tennessee lifer. Started in 2019. He was pick number 19 in the 2019 draft, and he has recorded 376 tackles, 219 solos, and 157 assists, 42 and a half sacks. So he's chasing Myles Garrett's number. Also 8 forced fumbles, 6 fumble recoveries for 2 yards. Really, but really his big mission is he's a run stuffing, in your face defensive tackle. I was going to mention the walking condominium with legs, Devondre Sweat, but didn't he get traded?
Yeah, he got traded to the New York Jets. But listen, Jeffrey Simmons has been a nuisance in the South, in the AFC South, for quite some time. He is one of those players that is a cornerstone defensive player. He's been a cornerstone defensive player for the Titans for a while. He's one of those guys that they wanted to lock up long term. They locked him up. I mean, if I was the Titans, I would have liked him lock him up maybe for another year or two on top of that 3 years that they gave him. But I mean, ultimately, this is one of those stalwarts, one of those guys you really want to get locked down, and you really want to keep him in the building. You really want to fortify that defense. This was a smart move. I think this is 100% the correct move for the Titans to be making, to make sure that their defense stays strong up front. He is a leader on that defense. He is one of the top dogs in the NFL. This was an excellent signing by them. They do the absolute right thing here. Speaking of leaders on the defensive side of the ball, let's talk about what the Saints did. They go out and bring back defensive end Cam Jordan on a 1-year, $7.5 million deal. It's up to $11 million with incentives. Jordan is 36 years old. It was looking like, hey, he might be hitting the old retirement line there, but Cam Jordan winds up coming back for one more season, he says. So this will probably be Cam Jordan's last year, but he comes back for just one more year with the New Orleans Saints. This is what the Saints need. They needed a veteran presence. They needed an edge rusher. They needed a guy that's going to harass the quarterback, and Cam Jordan still does that very effectively. I was a little surprised that they even, danced around with the fact of letting him walk out the door the way that they did. This was a guy that you needed to keep in there as that veteran presence, at least for 1 year, with the young players that you're trying to cycle in. This is what, like, I hate to, use my Vikings as an example, but Harrison Smith, you keep a guy like Harrison Smith in the door to keep those nice, new young safeties learning from the veteran presence. This is what you should be doing with Cam Jordan. You bring him back in so that these new defensive players can learn from that veteran presence. And he's still such a good player. He plays at such a high level at 36 years old. Am I missing something there? I think this is a great player to keep around, especially at this price point. 7.5 is like chump change at this point.
Yeah. And I mean, I think the biggest thing that has to do is with his age. He's 36 years old. He was picked up in 2011. 2011, he was picked number 24 overall. And again, a New Orleans lifer. So who knows this team better than this man? And he's done work. Myles Garrett might have cracked the single season sack record. I'd be very curious to know who has the most sacks. Of I guess this current roster. I mean, of all time, that you're probably thinking, more and more and more. But the pedigree speaks for itself. He's very consistent with getting to the quarterback, sacks, forced fumbles. He's a turnover machine. He even got an interception. He even scored a touchdown in 2017. It sounds like it was a goal line situation where the ball just popped up in the air and it just happened to fall into his hands. But, if any, and we always say, you've said this for the last couple of episodes, the Saints have momentum, and you're a big believer in momentum. And, having a veteran presence like this will only keep the momentum going for the New Orleans Saints.
Yeah, I agree. And here's one thing that's interesting about the whole momentum thing. Like a guy like Cam Jordan, I think he's coming back at just the right time. He'll be 37 by the time it starts. But I want to point this out. Get this. So you want to talk a guy who is he had a 76 overall PFF defensive grade last year, by the way, at 36 years old. But get this. Pro Bowl selections. 2013, 2015, 2017, 2018, 2019, 2020, 2021, and 2022. Pro Football Focus top 101, 2013, 2015, 2016, 2017, 2018, 2019, 2020, and 2021. AP second team All-Pro 2018 and 2019. AP first team All-Pro 2017. PFF first team All-Pro 2017. PFF second team All-Pro 2015 and 2016. I mean, he's been great his whole career. His run defense grade last year was an 82.1.
That's insane for a guy. This is last year. A guy still in the league this age. He's aged like a fine wine.
Yep. I mean, this guy is phenomenal. You got to love what he does. He had 36 total pressures as a pass rusher last year, 10 sacks, 21 hurries, 5 hits. I mean, this guy's a stud. And the fact that he's still playing at that level in his late 30s, I mean, this is pretty phenomenal. So I think this is a great signing. And you talk about momentum. Yeah, I believe in momentum. And the guys who made me believe in momentum at the end of a season, believe it or not, was your Detroit Lions. And they, I saw the momentum.
That's huge. And that's high praise coming from you.
Yeah, but we saw the momentum. The year that they eliminated the Packers from the playoffs in Week 18, we got to see that, and then the following year we saw what the Lions did. And a lot of that momentum from that end of that part, the back half of that season, carried over into the following year. So that's why I'm such a big believer in things like momentum when it comes to the NFL. And you want to talk a team that has momentum right now, it's the New Orleans Saints. Also, let's go ahead and talk about another signing that took place. The New York Jets. they go out and sign offensive lineman Joe Tippmann to a 4-year, $66.4 million extension. It's $16.6 million per year. It's $34.9 million guaranteed. He's a 2023 second-round pick out of Wisconsin. He started at right guard for the Jets last year. He posted a 69 pass blocking grade and a 67 run blocking grade. Pretty solid grades for a guy with his, he was in his 3rd year, technically speaking, but he has basically seized that right guard position for them. And if there's anything that the Jets needed, it was offensive line for the longest time. And it seems finally like their offensive line is taking shape with Armand Membu and now Joe Tippmann. I mean, it seems like they finally have a nucleus as far as an offensive line for the New York Jets. It's crazy that we're actually talking about them having one of the better offensive lines right now in football. Yeah. They're actually looking a lot more secure than they were in previous years. Am I wrong?
Nope, you're not wrong at all. And I'm actually going to take a quick moment and pull up my playoff predictor from this, when I predicted the AFC playoffs. I wasn't terribly kind to the Jets. Obviously, I had them going 3-14, 1-5 in the division. They still have some work to do. But, I mean, I can see them getting 3 wins. Hell, I can see them getting 5 wins, Just because there's so much competition between the Bills and the Patriots, and really the Patriots are about to suffer from a Super Bowl hangover. At least that's what we think. But the Jets have an opportunity to do, as the kids say, the funniest thing ever.
Yeah, and I believe that when it comes to the New York Jets right now, look, we were very kind to them, but we all seem to be on the same page when it comes to the Jets, that we believe that Aaron Glenn is going to wind up in a situation where he will be viewed under the lens of being a bad coach this year, but the coach next year is going to inherit all of these stars that Aaron Glenn's administration wound up picking up in this most recent draft, because they got a ton of stars, whether it's D'Angelo Pons or whomever, Omar Cooper. I mean, they got a ton of studs in this draft. So there's going to be a lot of guys that this next head coach is going to wind up getting a hold of after Aaron Glenn. And we're going to be having a conversation about, a lot of these guys were Aaron Glenn guys. Let's not forget that, and we're going to have to give Aaron Glenn that credit when the time comes. So, while we're not being too kind to the Jets now,
I mean, just fam, I'm just going to say it here. You heard it here first on the Outside Blitz.
Yeah.
You heard it here first.
And now we've got, a great signing here as far as, an offensive lineman. So another offensive lineman getting signed. The Jags go out and sign long snapper. This is an interesting one. They go out and sign a long snapper.
Yeah, but Bill Belichick is still talking about him.
Ross Matisic, he gets signed to a 2-year, $3.8 million deal. It's $1.9 million per year. It makes him the highest paid long snapper in the league. So the Jags go out and get their long snapper. I know a long snapper to a lot of folks doesn't matter too much, but when he becomes the highest paid long snapper in football, you kind of got to bring it up. So I think it's a good signing.
Honestly, if the game's on the line and Cam Little is lining up for that field goal, to drain that 70-yarder, because we all know kickers are an underappreciated, but they're still very, prevalent. They're prevalent in fantasy football for sure, but they're prevalent in the league, but who snaps them the ball? That's right, the long snapper. So, when you're getting a bag of that size for a position like this, you got to be doing something right, and you have to be bringing some sort of value to the team, and apparently that is quite a lot.
Yeah, he's a very good long snapper. So they get him locked down. Also, the Cowboys, they got some stuff going on. They go out and sign wide receiver Denzel Mims, the former second-round pick from the New York Jets. in 2020. They go out and sign him to a 1-year deal. So Denzel Mims, interesting thing for him. He's been around the league. He started out with the Jets, went to the Lions, went to the Steelers, went to the Jaguars. The Jags let him walk. He went to the UFL, did really well in the UFL for a hot minute for the last 2 seasons, played in the UFL for 2026, and then he comes back to the league as a member of the Dallas Cowboys. Hey, welcome back, Denzel Mims. And he kind of, sometimes we see some of these guys, they go down to the UFL and they sort of hone their craft, and then they come up to the NFL. They come back to the NFL and they look a lot better than they did before. And I'm hoping that's what we're going to see out of Denzel Mims, because there was a lot of promise for him when he was coming out of college back in 2020 when he was picked up by the Jets, and a lot of folks really thought he was going to be great. Big time vertical threat, big time speedster, and he just never panned out with whatever team he was with.
Well, I will tell you this. The one word that I have for Denzel Mims is consistent. I'm on ESPN. I'm taking a look at his statistics. So he doesn't have any statistics posted past 2022, at least not on that website. And obviously, he went to the UFL, so he kind of went AWOL for a while. But in his first 3 years with the Jets, he averaged anywhere between 15.5 and 17 yards per catch. So he went 23 for 44 in 2020. He only had 8 catches in 21 and 11 catches in 22. But he was very proficient at getting and moving the chains. 27 first downs all time, which 27 first downs, big deal. Hey, listen, when it's 3rd and 2 or 3rd and 5, and you need a dude to get across the line. I'm just saying, Amon-Ra St. Brown basically made a career out of it, not just at USC, but in Detroit, so hats off to him. I'm interested to see what he will do in Dallas. I'm sure that Dak Prescott will be a really good fit, if, of course, he can get him the ball. That's the question of the day.
And the one thing that you mentioned, 15 to 17 yards per catch, that's something that is huge for him. He's always been a deep threat. That was the big thing, the vertical threat that is Denzel Mims. That's been his bread and butter throughout his entire career. And it seems like nobody's been able to unlock that. A la, say a Torrey Smith type of deal, right? But,
when is he getting in the Hall of Fame?
Oh God, I don't think he'll ever, for his one great season, I don't think he'll ever get in the Hall of Fame. But
I'm confusing Torrey Smith with Torrey Holt. I'm sorry.
Yes. But nobody's been able to unlock that deep threat ability of Denzel Mims. So we're kind of waiting to see if there's a team out there that's going to be able to unlock that for him. Also, speaking of the Cowboys, they had to place somebody on IR this week. They placed offensive lineman Matt Hennessy on season-ending injured reserve after undergoing neck surgery. Matt Hennessy is a center for them. He's been around the league for a while. He was a 2016 draft pick out of Temple. He's been with the Atlanta Falcons for 4 years, and he was with the Niners for a couple of years. And then this year, he gets picked up by the Cowboys in free agency. So last year he played for the San Francisco 49ers. He had a 68.8 overall PFF grade in 25. He played 172 snaps. He wasn't bad in the short period of time that he played. But the Cowboys, they don't even get to see him this year. Basically, he was in the Pro Football Focus Top 101 back in 2021.
Yeah. So
he's a solid center. He's a solid center, and again, the Cowboys aren't even going to be able to see him take the field. It kind of stinks for them. This guy's a solid player. Little frustrating for the Cowboys, who have been trying for a hot minute to really revamp their offensive line, have they not?
Yeah, they absolutely have. On top of trying to, shore up that god-awful pass defense from last year, Dak Prescott needs all the protection he can get. You and I know very well that Zach Martin was an all-pro guard, for many, many years at the right guard position. And unless I mistake my guess, Zach Martin, I believe he's retired, is he not?
Yes, very much retired.
Yeah, so, when you have one of the best guards in football, hop on his horse and, ride off into the sunset, you need somebody to shore that up, and, having a guy that, the guy that basically protects the ball and gives it to the quarterback so he can start the play. I mean, stuff like that's just so simple. Like, it's like, duh, he gives the ball to the quarterback. He's also responsible for, blocking up front. Those defensive tackles are itching and clawing to get past him to get to the quarterback. And it's like, bro, he's got to be a brick wall. So who are they going to get to put in center at this point? I'm sure they have a plan, but like I've said this a couple of different times today, you need all the help you can get. And it's looking a little shaky with this unfortunate news.
Yeah, Hennessy, he might be a little bit more of a rotational center. I'm not sure that they were going to maybe necessarily start him, but he's a high-end, he's like a mid-grade center, but he's like a high-end backup type of situation where it's one of those guys where, like, you could feed him in as a starter and be perfectly comfortable. And I wouldn't be mad starting him for the year. I think he'd be just fine starting for the year. Back in 2021, if you look at his grades from 2021, he actually didn't do half bad. 88.3 run blocking grade, 76.5. He ranked 9th amongst all centers. His pass blocking it left something to be desired, but he's since improved that over the course of the last several years. But I mean, Matt Hennessy, I mean, if he's a rotational interior offensive lineman, even then, you like to have that on your team. So it kind of stinks for the Cowboys to lose him, but he's a rock solid player. So they're going to lose a key cog there. Also, one thing I wanted to point out is the Bucs defensive tackle Vita Vea is currently sitting out of workouts due to contract related issues.
That's not good.
A deal. Not good at all. We've been talking ad nauseum about how we feel that the Bucs are kind of coming apart at the seams a little bit, and how the Bucs are going to be struggling this upcoming year, and how they seem to be they're kind of on the downturn and whatever else. Well, Vita Vea is he's the heart and soul of your defense.
Pretty much.
He's the best player on your defense. He is the interior defensive lineman monster. He is your defensive tackle, your run stuffing, space eating beast, and you have him sitting on the sidelines during workouts because he's mad about his contract. It's contract time for Vita Vea. You just pay the man.
Yep.
Pay him. You just pay him. I'm so tired. Like, this is not one of the times to have a pissing match with Vita Vea.
No.
I don't understand the logic here. You pay the man.
I mean, it's one thing if you're trying to pinch your pennies for a good cause because you have to sign some of your big players, Baker Mayfield. I don't know how many years he's got left on his deal, but at the same time,
he's in a contract year too. And they're having a pissing match with him too.
Yeah, so if there was evidence needed to say that the Tampa Bay is about to be on some hard times, this is it right here. And this is what you're losing here. You're losing a guy who averaged anywhere between 4 and 6.5 sacks. He had 7 sacks in 24. 35 throughout his entire career. Which, I mean, going next to the Myles Garretts and the Cam Jordans of the world, doesn't seem like much. But listen, this you said it best. He is a space eater. He's a turnover machine. He's recovered 3 fumbles. Defended 9 passes that came his way. The man is just he's been consistent. That's the key word here.
He's 31 years old. He's in the final year of a 4-year deal where he made $71 million, and he should be paid much more. He's about to get paid $17 million this year. You should be offering him at least a 2 to 3 year extension. This should not be this difficult.
No.
And I, looking at the I'm going to take a peek here at the the Tampa Bay Buccaneers salary cap situation.
I mean, I'll just take a moment to say, I mean, folks, it ain't rocket science.
Right. I mean, it's looking at their salary cap situation for this year. So currently for this year, right now, they have $8 million in cap space. And then that's per over the cap. And then moving into next year, they've got $39 million in cap. So, and they've got to sign Baker Mayfield moving into next year. He wants a new deal. And he's set to make $30 million next year. And he wants a new contract. So moving into 2027, you got Mayfield on 30 and moving it in. This should be easy. This should be easy. This should be a no-brainer, no question, sign the man and move on. This is not the time to be pinching pennies with Vita Vea.
And you don't have to. It doesn't sound like you have to.
No, you don't. And a lot of this stuff, like you look at some of the stuff, there are certain guys out there, like I'm looking at some of their roster guys, and it's like you can drop certain guys that aren't going to make a lick of difference on your team. Like Muhammad Kamara, for example. Oh, Muhammad Kamara, he's $0 in dead cap, and you can drop him and save $1.19 million in cap space. I mean, like there are certain players on the roster right now where you can just let them walk and save $1 million.
Yeah, it's called trimming the fat.
Yeah,
you and I do it during tax time, and when we had to tighten our belts to go save up for the combine trip or for the draft weekend or for fantasy football. I mean, it's same concept, just higher numbers.
Yeah, a lot of this stuff that they're doing doesn't make any sort of sense. They're battling with one of their best players, and when they have the cap space available, it's just silly.
Yeah. Here's my question. We talked about on the show how Todd Bowles is in the hot seat. Like he's got the crosshairs. Well, you say their GM gets knocked off too. Well, knocked off, but just shown the door. I think that'd be a better.
Yeah, I'm knocked off. But Jason Light has been a good GM, and I think he bought himself some time with the Super Bowl win, and he's shown that. But man, here we are. Jason Light is getting himself on the hot seat here if he doesn't get his top player signed, and
that's right.
It's going to get a little ugly. They missed the playoffs for the first time in a minute here this past season. So if
the bottom falls out this year. Like if they're dead last in the division, which the NFC South is not exactly, hugely competitive, but I think in their defense, all the other divisions in the NFC are incredibly competitive. They just got the short end of the stick. But
let's be fair. I mean, it's not like the Tampa Bay Buccaneers ever since that Super Bowl win. It's not like they've been good. I have never thought much of Todd Bowles as a head coach. I haven't. I don't think Todd Bowles is a good head coach. I've never thought he was that good. In my opinion, I always thought Todd Bowles was just meh. He could have bought the team a little bit extra time when the Lions beat the Buccaneers in the divisional round a couple years ago. Like I was sitting there staring at the screen. I'm like, brother, you got 3 timeouts. Why don't you start using them? And one thing that got me about Todd Bowles is, he did this similar type of act when he was with the Jets. I don't think Todd Bowles is a good head coach. I just think he's a bad babysitter. And he came in, he took over Rex Ryan's team over there with the Jets, and he wasn't good with that. And Rex Ryan, if you recall, he took that same Jets team to the AFC title game 2 years in a row, with Mark Sanchez. And I'm like, well, maybe Rex Ryan's just a better head coach than Todd Bowles. Todd Bowles is not a good head coach.
There's a ton of head coaches that are better than Todd Bowles. I mean, saying Rex Ryan's better than Todd Bowles is saying I'm a better streamer than my brother. I don't know.
It's one of those things. But then you look over and you go, why is Todd Bowles there and still a head coach? And he's made the playoffs a couple of times, and good for him. But did anybody really think Todd Bowles and the Tampa Bay Bucks were going to win a Super Bowl with Todd Bowles at the helm? I didn't. I never thought that. I never once sat there and said Todd Bowles is going to win a Super Bowl with the Bucks. Never. I never once thought that at any juncture in time.
Well, and to be fair, the last time the Bucks won the Super Bowl was when Tom Brady was the quarterback. I mean, the GOAT. Yeah. How do you go wrong with when the GOAT's your quarterback? I mean, come on now.
But if you look at it, I mean, who went wrong with the GOAT as his quarterback? Because last I checked, when they did go to the playoffs, take a look at that year with Tom Brady as their quarterback, and who was the head coach?
Todd Bowles.
Todd Bowles. I mean, he's not good. He's not good. He's just not a good head coach. And Todd Bowles, he's not a good head coach. He shouldn't be there. I'm not a fan. I don't like him as a head coach. He should be gone.
Do you think he makes a better coordinator? Because we've seen that happen.
I think he makes a better coordinator. I think he's a good defensive coordinator. I don't think he's a good head coach.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where I've always stood on Todd Bowles. When they said he was going to be the head coach, I was like, oh God, this is going to be bad. And it's the wheels fall off. The wheels always fall off when Todd Bowles is the head coach. It always happens. It always has. It always has happened with Todd Bowles. So I don't get it. Moving into the Arizona Cardinals, we've got a quarterback controversy.
Oh yeah, we
battle. Do. Carson Beck and Jacoby Brissett are currently preparing for a quarterback battle in Arizona. A starting quarterback battle is getting ready to take place to see who the starting QB is going to be with the Arizona Cardinals.
I'll tell you who I got my money on.
Look, my money's on Carson Beck.
100%.
Yeah. Look, I saw Jacoby Brissett last year go 1-11.
Yeah.
And I watched him struggle.
Mm-hmm.
And look, like from strictly a fantasy football perspective, Jacoby Brissett put up good numbers. Like, I mean, from a fantasy football perspective, but fantasy football is not real life, folks.
No.
And at the end of the day, when you look at the numbers of Jacoby Brissett, he really wasn't very good.
No, sir.
And to me, I think Jacoby Brissett, I think they're gonna roll with the veteran. They're gonna be like, oh yeah, we'll put the veteran out there. Jacoby Brissett's about to get the Tyrod Taylor treatment, and I don't mean the pop lung. I mean that there's going to be, Carson Beck's about to roll onto the field and take that job, and he's gonna go, it's mine now. Have a nice day.
And to be fair, Carson Beck is at the age where he's old enough to have already played some time in the league. Think how crazy that is,
Yeah.
Because he spent so much time at college. He's already 23 years old. It's like most quarterbacks come in at like 20 or 21.
Yep.
He's still a little fresh. I mean, it's definitely still a fresh face. He'll have some tread on the tires, but the other thing that's helping Carson Beck's case, there's only a few cars dotting the parking lot in the hot Arizona sun. Guess who one of them is? Carson Beck. He's putting in the work. He's there 13 hours a day, according to an article from the Associated Press. But I mean, but the point is, the kid's putting in the work because he wants that job. He's from his actions, from his attitude, from his demeanor. He wants that job.
Yeah. And you know what? That's the thing. Like we talk about age being a thing. Age is a big problem. Oh, when he's 23 years old, we want younger prospects. Well, listen, sometimes it doesn't hurt to have a guy that is 23 years old, because you know what you get out of a guy that's 23 years old versus a guy that's 20 years old? You get maturity.
Yep.
And you get a guy that's going to show up and that's going to want to perform as an adult, and he's going to be the adult in the room. He's going to want to be a legit NFL player. He's going to want to act like the adult in the room. He's going to want to be a leader. And that's what Carson Beck is going to want to be. And he showed that last year. He showed that when he was over there at the University of Miami. He showed that, even though, look, and I get it. Oh, he couldn't take it home. He couldn't win the big one. He couldn't finish out that last drive. But look, when he was at Georgia, when he was at Miami, he took it to the house. He took those teams to national championships. He showed he can be a leader.
Absolutely. Yeah. And the only reason he fell short was Indiana was just that much better. Mendoza proved to the world why he is called Heisman Mendoza. Going for it, putting his balls on the table, running the ball into the end zone on fourth down. He was a little bit more daring. But Carson Beck, kept the Hurricanes in that game. And the total opposite of that, the veteran, Jacoby Brissett, according to the Associated Press, he is unhappy with his contract situation. He's only guaranteed $1.5 million next season. He stayed away from the team during voluntary workouts before reporting for mandatory OTAs last week. He didn't practice watching drills on the field. What does that say? What message does that send to your head coach, to the rest of your teammates, and to the organization?
Exactly. And I think it says a lot about Jacoby Brissett and his attitude. It's like, well, who the hell are you? You went 1-11 last year. So, I mean, I don't want to hear diddly shit from Jacoby Brissett at that point. And last but not least, let's talk about Brandon Sorsby. We had a lot of conversations about him.
Yes, we did.
Yesterday. Last week, we talked ad nauseum about him. Well, we're going to go ahead and talk about him just a little more. He is officially declared, and this happened the day after we talked about him. He declared for the NFL supplemental draft. So the NFL supplemental draft, there have been stars that have come out of the NFL supplemental draft, including but not limited to my favorite player of all time, the great Chris Carter, the NFL Hall of Famer, right?
He was a supplemental draftee?
Yes, sir. Supplemental draft guy. Also, we got to see guys like Bernie Kosar, for example, supplemental draft guy. There are certain guys that have come out of the supplemental draft. But Sorsby has officially
he's officially declared for it. So
so we haven't seen any major stars come out of the supplemental draft for quite some time. It's not often that the supplemental draft makes a big splash. Usually, this is reserved for players whose eligibility for college has changed in some sort of way since the NFL draft. In the case of Sorsby, his eligibility changed, and then it changed again, and it changed again, and then it might change again. So, like, they got rid of him, and then the court brought him back. But now that the college football is appealing it, they might get rid of him again. So he's just saying, to hell with it. I might as well just go to the supplemental draft and see if I can get picked up. So
save everybody a lot of headache in the process. I listened to the Valenti show clip on YouTube, but they also are prominent in your neck of the woods, Mr. Fraytown. Yes. But they mentioned that this could be one of the best things that happened for college football, because it kind of takes away a little bit of the stain and the tarnish, of having to possibly deal with the idea that a compulsive gambler, not to make light of his not to make light of his issue, because it's a problem, it's a true problem, and he needs help. But the fact is, you bet on your team while you were playing for them. They don't put up with that stuff in the pros. I mean, Pete Rose, stayed out of the MLB Hall of Fame until way after he died because of that. Yep.
Yes, he did.
And the NFL is probably one of the strictest organizations on the face of the planet when it comes to gambling, because of all of their partnerships and sponsorships with DraftKings, FanDuel, you name it. It is a new world. That's true. But so college football was starting to look like a clown car until Brendan Sorsby took the left turn here. And kids, you guys out there may not have even ever heard of the supplemental draft. So I popped it up on Wikipedia here, and I'm going to do as quick as I can, synopsis of it. Since 1977, the NFL has also held a supplemental draft to accommodate players who did not enter the regular draft. They missed the filing deadline for the draft, or because issues developed which affected their eligibility. We've talked about this in a minute, and it's you know, and they also held players in 1984. The NFL held a supplemental draft of players who were under contract with the USFL and CFL teams. So I didn't know the USFL was around for that long.
Yes, it was.
Yeah. So then Bernie Kosar from the University of Miami. That's a name. That's a blast from the past. Led the University of Miami to its first national championship in '83. He was earning his academic degree as a junior. And he wanted to turn pro rather than finish out his year. And, and then the rest is history, as they say. So what happens during the supplemental draft? Like, as far as I understand it, when we were talking about it offline, a player will get drafted by a team that's looking for a player, and they'll give up draft capital to perform that transaction. Do I have that right?
Yeah, that is correct. So basically how it works, it's like an auction bid. So for college players who missed the standard spring draft, so teams bid future draft picks on the player. So the highest bidder wins the prospect and forfeits that corresponding draft pick in the next year's regular draft.
What do you vote now?
So what it turns into is, let's say Brendan Sorsby, let's say I go in and I say, well, I'll give up a 5th round pick for Sorsby. And your team says, I'll make it a 4th. Mm-hmm. Well, maybe I'll make it a 3rd. We got to see how high I'll go for Sorsby.
Right. The big question is, how high are these teams going to go for him? I don't think I really see him going past 3rd round.
Yep. And interested teams. So here's how unlike the traditional draft, the supplemental draft does not follow a strict reverse order snake format. It's conducted as blind bidding, as an auction.
A silent auction.
So teams are divided into 3 weighted lottery tiers. Teams with 6 or fewer wins the previous season are lottery tier 1. 2 are the remaining non-playoff teams, and 3 are the playoff teams. The order within each tier is randomly determined by the weighted lottery that favors worse records. So it's interesting stuff.
So if you're talking about teams that had 6 wins or less, I mean, we're talking the Bengals, the Chiefs, the Saints, the Browns, the Commanders, the Giants, the Raiders. I mean, if anyone else, what I'm thinking? Why doesn't Cincinnati pick them up? I mean, they probably have the draft capital to do it, and who knows? He could sit behind Joe Burrow and surprise all of us. Miami's like right next to him with only 7 wins. Amazed that team even got to 7 wins, to be honest with you.
So interested teams submit a bid stating which round they're willing to use on that player. Mm-hmm. And then the player is awarded to the team that submits the highest round bid. Yep. And if multiple teams bid the same round, the player goes to the team with the highest priority in the lottery. So basically the team probably with the lowest record. Mm-hmm. If a team is awarded a player, they forfeit the exact round's draft pick in the following year's NFL draft. So if I bid a 4th round pick, I'm losing my 4th round pick to get this guy.
And really, it's like you're not really sweating. I mean, you're basically just saying, I'm going to use next year's 4th round pick to get this guy, which he's a 4th round talent in the first place. So it's kind of an ingenious way to, kind of pre-plan for next year's draft, if the opportunity presents itself.
Exactly. Players cannot automatically enter. They got to be evaluated and specifically approved by the NFL League office. And if a player goes undrafted through all 7 rounds of the supplemental draft, they immediately become an unrestricted free agent and can sign with any team that they want. The supplemental draft usually takes place in July, a few weeks after training camps open. So we're going to see that in a couple weeks. So that's going to be something that's going to be worth talking about when the supplemental draft does open up. We'll see if any other players get taken outside of Sorsby. It's going to be an interesting situation. We'll see how it goes. But yeah, that is what's going on with Sorsby, the supplemental draft. So get ready for that. We'll see if any guys go. But man, that's our news around the league. And Alex, let's discuss some of these free agents. We got free agents that are still hanging around on the wire, man. I'm a little surprised by some of them. As you can see off to the left here, we do have free I've pulled up as per Pro Football Focus, the top free agents. We love Pro Football Focus around here, so we decided to roll with PFF because why the hell not? And let's talk about our top one here. I was surprised. It didn't even dawn on me that this guy was available until Tyler actually brought it up to us in a group chat. Deebo Samuel is available right now as a free agent. This is baffling to me. He was ranked the 24th overall free agent this year by Pro Football Focus. He's currently ranked as their top free agent available. I have no idea why this man is available. He's only 30 years old, so he's still got tread left on the tires. He's still playing at a high level. He's still very productive. Last year put up a 69.4 season grade. He was the 53rd ranked wide receiver. Look, I understand Deebo's got a little bit of an injury history, but what's going on? Why has Deebo Samuel not been signed? I mean, I feel like he would be such a fit for the Philadelphia Eagles right now.
I mean, I wholeheartedly agree. So it says here on Pro Football Focus that his projected contract is about 2 years and $16 million on average per year. $20 million guaranteed, $32 million total. Whether he gets that bag or if he gets a better one, it remains to be seen. But I mean, if you look, I think part of it might be his age, and part of it might be, the rose might have fallen off the bloom a little bit. He had an 85.4 overall grade in 2023. It went down to a 70.9 in 2024. It barely dropped below 70 at a 69.4 last year, even though his snap count was pretty consistent. I think part of the problem is, he was such an asset with the 49ers. Things didn't pan out with the Commanders. So at this rate, the teams are kind of cautious.
Well, let's think about this for a minute. Things didn't pan out with the Commanders last year because Jaden Daniels got hurt. Marcus Mariota was in for most of the year. I mean, and Deebo got to suffer because of it, because Marcus Mariota, let's face it, is not Jaden Daniels.
No, sir.
But we look at the Deebo Samuel situation. We see him as a free agent. I see several fits for him where he could be very productive. How about Houston? I would love to see him in Houston. What a nice fit that would be. How about Jacksonville? I think Jacksonville would be a good fit. Hey, Tampa, you could use the receiver. Hey, how about Deebo over there? They could use the weapon. There are so many teams where I think Deebo Samuel would just be a fit. And I feel like they're missing the bus by not bringing him in, and especially at $16 million. That's like cheap.
Yeah, that's chump
cheap.
change.
I mean, yeah,
for a 30-year-old wide receiver who still has quite a lot of tread on the tires. He's only 30. I mean, people say that, once you get to a certain age, you start to dip a little bit. And I get that. But at the same time, this is a guy out of LSU. This is a guy that, he's an unrestricted free agent. I was just trying to look up his statistics, but I mean, I'll tell you, it's very surprising to see, him top this list, given his statistics. I mean, there's a ton of guys on here that, I'm looking at them, I'm scratching my head.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, right now, we look at the next one. And the next two, really, we kind of have answers for both. First of all, Joey Bosa, obviously, for the first time in a long time, he was not injured. And the injuries still are like the big question about Joey Bosa because he's always hurt. A lot of the story about him is, he's liking being at home right now, and according to his brother, and maybe he's just not wanting to play right now. So we're going to see what happens with Joey Bosa. Obviously, coming off of a great year last year, 74.6 grade. 29th overall edge rusher. I like Joey Bosa a lot, if he can stay healthy. So, I mean, he was the 18th overall in PFF WAR grade. Next up, Najee Harris. I mean, Najee, another guy where it's like
he's less than 30 years old. He's 28.
Yep. Came off he got hurt last year, right? I mean, he had the torn Achilles, and that's why nobody's touching him. But at 28 years old, and the projected contract is 1 year, 1.3. I mean, are you not going to sign Najee Harris for just $1.3 million? Yeah. I mean, like that's cheap. And that's for a guy that can play, and he can play, and he's played at a high level for several years. He did it well with the Steelers. He got hurt. Injuries happen. I understand an Achilles is one of those things where it's like a tough thing to come back from. Yes, he only played 43 snaps last year. He's almost a year. By the time the season starts, he'll almost be a full year removed from the Achilles. It happened very early in the season. I think teams should take a shot at Najee Harris, especially at that price point. 1.3 million is like nothing.
Yeah, that's for a player with those statistics, an 86 rushing grade and the 4th most yards after contact in the NFL. What do we keep talking about? Yards after catch, yards after contact. The guy was a beast in Pittsburgh. So go for it. What do you have to lose?
And then also here's another guy, Jadeveon Clowney. He's always been a guy that he gets signed and he plays at a super high level when he's healthy. Right. Injuries, injuries do rear their head when it comes to Jadeveon Clowney, but when he's out there, he's a terror. And he made a career off that huge hit, in college, and we do remember that. But he always goes down as one of those guys that they always talk about during some of these games. I mean, only Micah, listen to this from Pro Football Focus. It says right here, only Micah Parsons and Will Anderson Jr. topped his 19.1% pressure rate in 2025 with the Cowboys. He was a top 15 edge defender by pass rush win rate with a 16.8%. I mean, that's all I need to hear. And you can get him for the projected number on him is 1 year, 10 million. And you can get a guy like Jadeveon Clowney on your team. Hello.
Hey,
I mean,
he's hey, Detroit. Hey, Brad.
Yeah, he's 33. You could get him on a 1 year. I mean, hand him over. I mean, he's so cheap. It's almost like a cheat code, and you don't even have to think about it. It's okay. You got him on a 1 year, and now you can go find an edge rusher in the draft afterwards. But it's like here you go, make it make sense. Another guy, here's one that it's kind of an interesting one. Taylor Decker, he retired, sort of. The Lions he wanted to be let go from Detroit, and Detroit let him go, and then it was just a big wacky thing. He only allowed 2 sacks, 3 hits, 28 hurries off 551 pass blocking snaps. He had his lowest grades in 3 years last year, but still really good grades. He's 32 years old. This is the guy that I thought the Raiders for sure were going to bring in. It was sounding like the Raiders were interested in Taylor Decker. Since then, he's still been out there, still available. He's still one of the best right tackles, was still one of the best left tackles, rather, in football. Don't understand why at age 32 nobody will want to sign this guy. I mean, very much available.
Yeah, so I think the retirement ploy might be hurting his chances a little bit. Teams are wondering if he's going to pass his physical because, remember, they tried to get Frank Ragnow back on the squad, and then he failed his physical and he couldn't join the team. So it was, so the people are wary about this kind of thing. Given those facts, though, I mean, if you're an offensive line and you need some beef, I mean, hello, it's on clearance, but it's still good.
Yeah. Here's another interesting one. Stephon Diggs still out there after a 1,000-yard season last year.
Yeah.
I mean, 11th best receiver in football
and
year.
And an AFC title appearance and a Super Bowl appearance.
Yeah. Appearance, 82.6 PFF receiving grade, ranked 10th amongst all wide receivers. He was 32 years old. He has never produced a receiving grade below a 77.5 in a full season during his career. Like people were worried about the age. He's almost 33. Some people worried about the looming suspension situation, which really isn't even a suspension situation anymore. The league has already said that they're not going to suspend Stephon Diggs. They're not going to discipline Stephon Diggs because he was
right. He was cleared of his charges. He was declared not guilty on his battery charges.
Yep. So what are we doing here? I mean, Stephon Diggs still being out there, understanding, he does have a bit of an injury history. Understanding he does have some off the field bullshit. Yeah. But hey, still a good player.
Very good player. Well, I'll tell you, somebody that might be making a move on him are the Washington Commanders. He's not, Stephon Diggs is, and I quote, not ruling it out. Washington certainly has a need at receiver alongside scary Terry McLaurin. In a recent interview, he says, I never realized how many fans there was back home until I was a free agent. And people are like, you're going to come back home? Especially when they see me back. I've been living here my whole life. I've been living here for 10 years. It was like, oh, we never see you. So, on the one hand, it's like, does he go home? Does he go home to Washington and like kind of turn it all around? And like, I don't see the Commanders, getting, anywhere near the top of the division, let alone a Super Bowl. But, do you do it for the feels at least?
Yeah, I mean, look, I don't see the Commanders getting near a Super Bowl, but I think he would be a really good compliment to Terry McLaurin. Diggs is a veteran presence, and he's a very wily receiver. He knows how to get open. And I think that would be an excellent target for Jaden Daniels in this whole situation.
Yeah.
Speaking of the command.
Yeah, cut scene, Minneapolis Miracle. You want to talk about him getting open?
Yeah, who you telling? Speaking of the Commanders, though, let's talk a guy that has been still doing it at damn near 36 years old, Bobby Wagner. He played for the Commanders last year. This dude, let me tell you something. This dude is just a tackling machine.
Yes, sir.
That's what he is. He is a tackling machine. And
he drinks tackling fuel.
Dude, last 3 years, 7th, 3rd, and 10th at the linebacker position. This guy is still one of the best linebackers in football. I do not understand how nobody has said, hey, Bobby Wagner, come anchor my defense. I don't get it. He is still playing. And like, I don't understand how people out there in the world are even coming close to saying that this man is losing a step at all. Because I've heard that nonsense, and it is nonsense. Elite production. Elite. 90 plus PFF grades in run defense, pass rushing, and tackling this last year, extending a run of 4 straight years with 90 plus run defense grades. Since entering the league in 2012, this is per Pro Football Focus, Wagner has posted an 80 plus PFF grade in 8 of 14 seasons. In 2025, he totaled 52 defensive stops while missing just 8 tackles on 158 attempts. This guy is a machine. He shuts shit down. I don't understand how teams just balk on a player of this caliber and said, don't just say, like, especially if you're a Super Bowl team. If you're a team that's like, hey, we're kind of looking toward the Super Bowl, but hey, we need a linebacker. I don't understand how Bobby Wagner, like, isn't a guy that's in your, like, I don't know how you're not looking at him.
The Rams would be a perfect fit for him because they don't have Aaron Darnold anymore, and they are Aaron Donald, excuse me. Yeah. And yes, they got Myles Garrett at defensive tackle, but this guy would be a shoe-in for if the Rams pick this man up for cheap. The projected contract is $8.5 million, $8 million guaranteed. If I'm the Los Angeles Rams and I need a clincher, You know, it's like, why aren't you calling this guy? He says he has 2,000 total tackles in his career. 1,150 of them were solo. And, you know, that this is over a 13-year career, but still, you know,
here's the
thing. The last 2 years at Washington, he had 6.5 sacks, a forced fumble and 2 fumble recoveries and 2 picks for 7 yards.
Like, you bring up the Rams and like that, I think that's a good fit. I think the Buffalo Bills would be a good fit. I think the Baltimore Ravens would be a good fit. The Rams are a good fit, but they have Nate Landman over there who's been phenomenal. But I could only imagine what a guy like Bobby Wagner could do next to Nate Landman. I mean, like, it's insane. And like, I'm over here looking at this guy. I'm like, somebody could sign this dude for cheap and he would just do work for a whole year. And then you wouldn't have to, like, if he retires, he retires and it's cheap. And you just go, okay, thanks, Bobby. It's been fun. I mean, like, it's just, that's that, you know, veteran presence. Hey, Tampa, you know, you just lost, you know, your one of your top linebackers. Why don't you just go ahead and pick this dude up? It doesn't make sense to me that Bobby Wagner is still hanging out there. We already talked about Cam Jordan, who has been signed since, but Daquan Jones is another one. You know, I make it make sense. 72 PFF pass rush grade alongside a 9.3 pass rush win rate. I mean, like, he's 34 years old. I understand the age is a thing, but you can get Daquan Jones for $4.5 million.
That's dirt cheap.
Yeah. Joel Bitonio has since retired, but Kevin Zeitler's still out there, and you could have him for relatively cheap, nice interior offensive lineman. And Alex, you know all about this guy. Zeitler's been in the league for a while, and I get it. Older guy, but he's still playing at a high level, 74.5 PFF grade last year. He played 909 snaps last year for Tennessee. He still plays at a really high level. 74.5 PFF grade, 75.4 PFF pass blocking grade. He's a great player. He's reliable. He's a good interior offensive line. He gets cheap. I mean, like, I don't understand. Somebody needs to make this shit make sense. How is this guy just sitting there? Especially for teams that need offensive line, that are like begging for offensive line. Hey, New York Jets.
Hey, Miami Dolphins.
Say, hey, Kevin Zeitler. Yeah. Oh, I need to protect this running quarterback. Hey, protect my running quarterback, please, Kevin Zeitler. Like it just make it make sense. Mike Hilton. This is an interesting one for me. Mike Hilton is such an underrated corner. And last year he got hurt. But look, I like Mike Hilton. I think the 23 and 24, if you look at his numbers from 23 and 24, he was the 17th and 16th ranked corner. He's 32 years old. I get it. It didn't work out for him returning to the Colts with Lou Anarumo, who was the defensive coordinator for the Bengals when they went to the Super Bowl. So it was kind of like a reunion for him over there. It didn't work out. He had a shoulder injury last year, but listen, he's going to wind up being good somewhere. I could see, you know, where I could see him ending up and being good is actually Pittsburgh. I think Pittsburgh would be a nice fit for Mike Hilton. I'd like to see him over there. That might be a good fit. Greg Van Roten, another guy where it's like, that's cheap. And look, he didn't work out very well with the Giants last year, but you can get him for cheap and he might wind up being good elsewhere. Teams need to take a shot on him if they need a center. Here's one that's really interesting, and I know why he's not getting picked up because of the off-the-field bullshit, but let's look at 23 and 24, 87.3, 82.3 PFF grades. He was ranked the 5th and 6th safety. It's Jabril Peppers. Jabril Peppers is still playing at a great level.
Yeah. Why is sausage and peppers?
Yeah. Why is he still sitting out there? I just make it make sense. I understand last year, you know, he's 30 years old. I get it. I understand it. But and I understand last year things sort of, you know, fell apart a little bit, but he's still a really good player. So I think Jabril Peppers should be viewed as a guy to go after in free agency. Tyreek Hill is not going anywhere. I'm going to tell you that right now. Tyreek Hill, in my opinion, for this year anyway, is cooked. I don't think anybody should be looking at him. I don't think anybody should be staring at him. No, Russ Wilson has since retired. Here's a guy. I think Harrison Smith's going to return to the Vikings. I think he's coming back this year.
Yep, I can see it.
He's going to come back.
I can see it. I mean, you definitely need somebody at the safety position. You could have got Dylan Tenneman, but they decided to waffle on Caleb Banks. So I don't want to give you too much heartburn, but if you can get Harrison Smith for like $10 million, $7.5 million guaranteed, that's chump change. For a safety of his caliber, who's probably a first ballot Hall of Famer, if not a second or third. He's a premier safety of era. And he's only 36. Well, 37.3, but still.
Yeah, he'll be 30, almost. He'll be closer to 38 by the time the season comes. But Harrison Smith still plays at a decently high level. A lot of people say, "Oh, he lost a step. He lost a step." He's been the same guy for 3 years. I mean, you expect him to play the same way that he did it when he was 27 years old. You're sadly mistaken, but he's still one of the better safeties in football. He's still a good safety. He still plays well. He's very middle of the road right now at 38 years old. I'm not mad at you for being a middle of the road safety at 38 years old. Like, I'm sorry. If you're playing in the National Football League as a middle of the road safety, and I say middle of the road, at 38 years old,
that's not bad.
Doing something right. Yeah, that's not a bad thing. Rasul Douglas could be good elsewhere. I think he just was in a bad system. He was with Miami last year. Bad system. He needs to go back to Buffalo. That's what Rasul Douglas needs to do. He needs to go back to Buffalo. He had a bad 2024, bounce back with the Dolphins, but I wouldn't go anywhere near the Dolphins if I was him. Mekhi Becton, no. Brandon Graham is retired. Jermaine Pratt is an interesting one. I like Jermaine Pratt. The PFF grades do not do him justice because Jermaine Pratt the Bengals was actually really, really good. And when he went and played for Vegas, because he played for Vegas for, after 4 weeks, he got let go. He played for the Colts. He played really well for them. But look, the grades don't do him justice because Jermaine Pratt is actually a really good linebacker. I like Pratt a lot. He's 30 years old. This is a guy that the team is going to have to pick him up, get him in training camp, and let him just do him. He's going to be a good linebacker if a team just go out there and throw your weight around a little bit. That team scheme is going to matter, and if a team picks him up and gets him going, it'll work out. Jonnu Smith is another interesting one. He was the number 5 tight end in 2024. Last year didn't do jack squat.
We sat there and thought that Jonnu Smith was like one of the up and coming tight ends, and then last year hit, and we were like, maybe not. But then again, in his defense, the team he was playing for, the Miami Dolphins, they fell off a cliff. So you really can't blame Jonnu Smith for that. Yeah, he just struggled last year. He struggled. He was productive with the Dolphins in 24. But he went to Pittsburgh last year, and I mean, it's like everybody else was the focal point, So he needs to go somewhere. Jonnu Smith is a speedster tight end. That's been the beauty of Jonnu Smith. So you got to get him in space and let's let him use his legs. Derek Barnett, there's another guy, played for Houston last year. This is one guy who's been gradually declining, but I feel like he hasn't been in the right spot for the last couple of years. I think he could be a special player. I like, personally, I'm happy they're bringing back Cam Jordan, but what a fit for New Orleans if Derek Barnett were to go there. Oh yeah. I think that would be a great fit in New Orleans, would be Barnett. Donovan Wilson, I wouldn't touch him with a 10-foot pole right now, but I like Keenan Allen, and this is the last guy we'll cover is Keenan Allen. This guy, look, 35 years old about to be. He's 34. He just turned 34, but he'll be 35 by the end of the season.
had himself a really nice year last year.
Mm-hmm.
I could see Keenan Allen being a guy that somebody signs, like just on a whim. Like, hey, let me bring you in and we'll just see how it works out. And
it'll be interesting to see if he does get signed and returns to the Los Angeles Chargers, because Ladd McConkey is going to be waiting in the wings, because he got hurt last year, and if they bring Allen back in, is the target share going to drop for Ladd? Because I really think that Keenan can still play at a high level, even though his chrome dome and 5 head can cause wind shear.
Well, look, he ate up catches from Ladd McConkey last year, and that was a huge reason why Ladd McConkey, like everybody was expecting another huge year out of McConkey, and Keenan Allen, because of the rapport that he had with Justin Herbert from before, ate up a lot of the targets and the catches that should have been going to Ladd McConkey, and they wound up going to Keenan Allen because Herbert and Keenan Allen had such a rapport from prior years. So they just rekindled that whole thing, and next thing you know, Ladd McConkey's like, "Hey, man, like, what happened last year?
Throw me a bone."
So it was kind of interesting to see that, but I could see Keenan Allen going back to the Chargers, but I think Ladd McConkey might hate that. To be honest with you,
at least it won't be JJ McCarthy versus Kyler Murray.
Oh God,
JJ McCarthy is pissed that Murray is there.
Yeah, most definitely. But folks, that's our show. That's our free agents, and that's our show. But before we get out of here, I want to give a shout out to some of our sponsors. First of all, let's talk about It's Your Time Massage. Amanda's a wonderful massage therapist. She does tremendous work over here in the Metro Detroit area. If you're looking for a massage, if you're looking for a Swedish or deep tissue massage, you got to check out iytmassage.com, or you can check out It's Your Time Massage LLC on Facebook, and you can book yourself an appointment. She does Swedish and deep tissue massages. If you want a little CBD oil for a little bit extra, you can get some CBD oil. You can also get red light therapy. You can get foot sugar scrubs. You can get all that good stuff. You got to check it out, iytmassage.com, or you can book your appointment at It's Your Time Massage LLC on Facebook. And folks, check it out. Book yourself an appointment. And remember, it's your time. Also, let's go ahead and talk about Steele Twins Gaming. Alex, what do you got going on over there?
Hey, everybody. Do you like video games? Do you like theater? The Steele Twins Gaming may just be what you're looking for. Whether it's the good old first-person shooter, RPG, or your favorite story-based adventures, we think we have something for just about everyone. We've got everything you need to satisfy your digital cravings. And best of all, our channel has something nobody else has: voice acting. Every single week, my brother and I will play a game that has a lot of text-based dialogue, and we will act it out with the voices that come up in our heads for the characters that you see on screen. Sometimes we do our best to highlight the drama of the situation, and other times we just goof off to have a good time. Either way, we're sure you'll be entertained. We are on every Saturday afternoon at about 2:30 p.m., but follow us on Twitter at @SteelTwinsAlex to keep up to date on our shenanigans. And don't forget the brother channel, Steele Twins Andy. It is there. You'll get your full fix of Nostalgic Mondays, Nintendo Tuesdays, FPS Wednesdays, Borderlands 2 with yours truly, Indie Thursdays with Escape from Ever After, and Open World Fridays. I promise that one of these days we are going to get bad dudes on here.
Gotta get bad dudes. Gotta get bad dudes. Boots is going to give you a hard time until you get bad dudes on this show.
He's going to sit there and go, I had to pay $50 to get the Uber to go over to this, and you want me to pay for your stadium. Listen, last week's episode, if you did not catch it, obviously the Chicago Bears are going to turn into the Hammond Grizzlies at some point, and Boots was just on another level last week. If there was ever a reason to catch any of our previous episodes, it's that one. I was in stitches.
He was red hot about that. But, let's talk about No Shot Bot TTV. Let's talk about the artist formerly known as Big Willie Dubs Gaming, now known as No Shot Bot TTV. Online content creator who primarily streams first-person shooter games and a lot of other titles. But look, it's our buddy Will, man. He operates as a Twitch affiliate. He's a streamer with full-time ambitions. Look, he primarily streams first-person shooter games like Call of Duty Warzone, titles like Borderlands, so we get some of that stuff. But you can find all of his content and his highlights on Twitch, Kick, DeviantArt. Listen, this is one of our very best friends. He's a girl dad. And I want to congratulate him and his wonderful wife. They have a wonderful baby boy on the way. So congratulations to our buddy Will over there at No Shot Bot TTV.
Player 4 has entered the chat, and folks, he also has an online store. He's on YouTube. He's part of a streaming team called Team NVS. So get it, envious. And he is only 12 followers shy of 1,000. If you are in the general area of that man's channel, do yourself a favor and dropkick that follow button. And
absolutely. You can also find him on Instagram too. He is a big time streamer over there. He gets on Instagram all the time, so give him a follow on Instagram. You can check out some of his stuff. And it's not just games he does. He does a lot of other stuff on there. We get Hot Ones challenges. He shaved his beard off for harass his wife. I mean, all kinds of stuff. Will's fun. Check him out. No Shot Bot TTV.
I think he's also on one other platform, isn't it? He's on the TikTok.
The TikTok, yeah. There's our old man no moment for the day. We got our old man moment for the day. What you know?
Yeah, but, I've been here forever.
Yeah, where am I? But the folks, you got to check it out. No Shot Bot TTV, and also let's go ahead and talk about
books.
Books. Well, I got to talk about books. We got to
those things that we don't read, but you do need to read this one.
Yeah, it's a wonderful book called "I Ate Cookies Out of the Trash" by an amazing author. Her name is Tammy Pruitt. I got to tell you, this book is a great read. It's an inspirational guide written by Tammy based on her real life experiences dealing with body image and eating issues. And look, she shapes her book with her struggles and how to overcome them, supported with research-based facts and accompanied by her professional advice as a registered dietitian. She lets others know that they're not alone in struggling with self-love and body image and disordered eating. Look, she's a scientist, man. She's got a degree in science, Alex. Science. But look, Tammy isn't your stereotypical health guru. She doesn't run 7 miles a day, although these days she kind of is. She's doing this marathon thing. She's pretty tremendous these days, but she doesn't judge people for the kind of unhealthy food they consume. Look, she's the kind of friend you never had. She's the kind that encourages you and motivates you to rise above your dilemmas. She takes you down memory lane where life pitted challenges against her and shows you. And you also learn in this book just why she ate cookies out of the trash. It's an awesome book. I ate cookies out of the trash. I read it myself. It's fantastic. I highly recommend it to folks. You can get it on all the .coms. You can get it on barnesandnoble.com. You can get it on amazonbooks.com. You can get it on Apple Books. You got to get it on the .coms. You got to get on your keyboard and you got to go on the .coms and you got to get yourself I Ate Cookies Out of the Trash by Tammy Pruitt. You got to check it out. It is an excellent read. I highly recommend it.
Yep. You can get it on Kindle for $14.99, regularly priced at $15.99. Hey, $1 is $1 in this economy, but you also can get paperback and hardcover. And then after you get done reading it, you just put it on the shelf and let it collect dust with all the others.
Yeah, exactly. But folks, or you can reread it. It's rereadable. I'll tell you that much. It's definitely got rereadability.
Yes, sir.
Folks, with that is our show. Man, it's been a fun off season so far. Hopefully, hopefully next episode we'll be able to get Boots on here. If not, we're gonna be talking a little bit about. I think we're gonna be jumping into some bold predictions. Is where I think we're gonna be headed.
Yep, I believe. And then also, you want to also stay tuned for our way too early college players to watch out for. You know, and we're definitely going to be keeping our eye on Brendan Sorsby, not just because of all the off the field bullshit, but he truly is, you know, a good quarterback. I mean, you know, if you just discount the Novembers he played with Cincinnati and Indiana, but I digress. But yeah, we got a whole lot of stuff coming up, and we still have 7 whole weeks until the Hall of Fame game on August 6th, when the Carolina Panthers and the Arizona Cardinals duke it out in Canton, Ohio. So 7 weeks. So we'll have some content for you in the interim.
We will continue to bring football content. We've got, I believe, coming up, we're going to be talking about, and like you said, our 2027, way too early, 2027 NFL draft prospects. That's going to be a fun one. We're going to be talking about guys that we think are going to be popping off the page when we get into the 2027 NFL draft. And it's crazy to think that we're going to be talking about that after what happened this year with the way that the quarterback field sort of shifted the way it did. I mean, we were talking about early on, we were talking about Nussmeier and Klubnik and Arch Manning and all these guys. And then it very quickly shifted over and I mean, it changed drastically into what it became. I mean, just the guys getting drafted versus what we saw. It was crazy, and then turned in very quickly into Mendoza and so on and so forth. So very interesting stuff. It's almost a little bit of a dart throw because things can change so drastically. So we're gonna see how it goes. But folks, that is our show. Thank you so much for joining us. Hey, to Steele Twins Andy in the house and. Folks, that's our show. I want to thank you guys so much for listening. We've been popping ratings left and right lately. And we've had a lot of listenership, a lot of people joining us. We highly appreciate that as well. So thank you guys so much for listening and joining us. And we will see you next time right here on the Outside Blitz.
I bet you watch us again. And with that, pow, we're gone.